the other one.
I was just going to add to that with one of my Magnolia fabric camp notes, and I'm like, oh my god, it's too light, I'm going to freak out. But then I photographed it a couple times, I'm like, but in pictures, it looks right.
Sure.
Because we're not under film light.
Right.
So I was like, you know what, it's okay, it's good.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that is an important thing to keep in mind, that most of these costumes, as great as they can ever be, tend to live on in a 2D medium. You know, most people will see it in a photo, but not usually see it in person. I mean, some people will, but that's a much smaller segment. So to me, it is almost more important of how the photograph versus how it looks right here.
I think, like I said, anybody who walks up to you with a Pantone book, they're not having fun.
Also, don't forget, if you go on with the on-screen color, there's a lot of post-processing going on. So the color may have been altered after shooting.
Yeah.
And as a good example for that, if you look at some of the DVD extras of the outtakes of scenes that were cut,
Yeah.
they're often the unprocessed
Yeah.
video.
Right.
And if you look at those scenes then compared to how it did appear in the episode, the colour can look very, very different.
Well,
And also when they do these stills, you see these sort of the image that they're putting out for that particular year's costumes. Sometimes they really mess around with the colour line. And there was one I seem to recall where they actually changed the blue suit to being brown and retouched it to a different colour in a photograph. It's like, why? Yeah. So, and often it depends how much sharpness they put on it, as to how much the thin stripes come through. So the colour, you really need to look at photographs which are just candid photographs, preferably taken outdoors, rather than studio ones.
Yeah.
Those are the best. I always look for the ones
More
which
the
are-
behind-the-scenes type
Yeah,
stuff,
the
not
sort of
so much
candid-
outtakes, but definitely
yeah,
behind-the-scenes
the
stuff.
decent quality, candid photographs behind
Absolutely.
the scenes taken outdoors. Those are the best to color reference.
Because especially nowadays with TV and film, they're now, what we call color graded. I think was familiar with that, where they literally they take the initial footage and they'll make it a little cooler, a little bluer, or if they're in the charts, it's going to be this really warm, light. That's going to shift the color. But there's almost no footage now where it's just regular, flat, real color.
Yeah, like on some of the
Well, I like that.
on some of the doctors confidential programs, you see them at the sort of tone meetings, and they're talking about where it's going to be the sort of colour that you're going to use for this
Exactly.
Show's all going to be
This
the same
season's
reds
beige.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Sort of possible planet or whatever. Yeah. It's going to be the beige one. Yeah.
Right.
And it always drives me nuts when people go to the museums where they have the costumes on display, and then they take a whole bunch of photos with their flash. And then the photos that you get back, they're gorgeous, but that's not what it actually
But
looks
they're all
like.
washed out.
And I blame the museum too, because the museum should light them with like natural outside looking lights, Like, this is useless as a costumer unless you're there in person.
Oh,
They're not useless.
the Dr. Who exhibition in Cardiff is horrible because they have smoke going everywhere. You're trying to get pictures of costumes. Oh, smoke.
So even when you have the actual thing in hand, these are the actual suits that you wore, you still aren't getting an accurate representation. So it's your gut feeling in the end, it's what you guys want to look like.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are not like us, where we're like, it must be, that's like 1/8 of an inch pinstripe wrong. Like, that's not acceptable. Like,
I still like having a life. When you're that close, I'm just be like, that's not.
Right, you know what I mean? Like, some people are like, they really want it exactly the same, and some people are like, it's similar, it's close enough, I'm happy. And if it reads right, you know what, that's great. Don't kill yourself. Whatever, if you're happy with it, then you should be happy with it,
I mean, how many people were excited that the Doctor Who costume was coming out in the bag?
Right?
Oh, Doctor Who in a bag.
Have you guys heard about that?
No.
I wish I had a picture.
Oh.
Yeah, I know you have. For those of you who don't know, Forbidden Planet, both international and in the UK, are putting out Doctor costumes in a bag. Fifth Doctor and Fourth Doctor.
Your basic Halloween grade.
$60 US, 40 pounds. And, it's not high-end, but it'll get you by.
People will know who you are. If they know who your doctor is, they'll be like, oh, you're the fifth doctor.
Oh, the ones that post are the t-shirts.
Yeah,
Oh,
and the
yeah,
shirts
the t-shirts are awesome.
You're gonna talk about things being made available, though. The one that surprised me is this right here.
But it's sold out.
Well, at least they actually reissued it, though. That's amazing.
The fact that it was actually put out.
They caught on and said, "Hey, let's," but I think we got a Paul Smith shirt back there. An original one, actually. Original issue.
Can we walk down the runway here?
Yes, please.
Bring it.
Here we go.
Bring it on.
We're talking 11th Doctor. These are the original boots right here. How are these? These are the All Saints later boot. And yeah, that was a close save. Like what was it? We all found it, and within 2 months they were all gone.
Because everybody.
That's 2 weeks, yeah, it wasn't 2 months.
Right.
Every time we manage to track some of those down, it's always been discontinued and is now only like what we're left in the country.
Right. Yeah. True. And these are the top and trousers.
That's the nice thing about like the lyrics, like here, you can just buy those.
Well, you could.
Well, theoretically, if you were in a TARDIS, you could go back in time and buy a pair of pants at the actual.
I think the key thing about it is it's not so much that whether you can actually get it right now. It's one, you know what they are.
Right.
If your buddy got one, you can at least see what it's
Right.
supposed to actually look like. You actually know what this is as opposed to theorizing something from 1975.
Or it's 63 where it's in black and white.
Exactly.
There are no color photos.
Yeah,
Or they're,
exactly.
they're grainy in 1963 color,
I mean, I was so excited when I actually got a nice, good, clear picture of Hartnell with a blue tie. And I was like, hey, it's blue! As a matter of fact, right over here. Excellent Hartnell over here.
We're just our
Catwalk.
Yeah, come on. Come on.
This is
Catwalk.
Oh, no, Hartnell doesn't get the catwalk. Fletch too sophisticated for that. Like I said,
Red collar.
red collar. You know, but that's wow.
I don't know if I have any of the color photos. Like most of the photos you get are this.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I only found one color, the honey with the cape on. It's the one with the red collar.
Why?
And the red.
Yeah, but like I said, it's very rare we should find some of these older ones, and screen captures of the DVD from the 60s.
And the first
Just
thing
peel
is,
my eyeballs
you know
off.
that
I would say I
originally
gotta
that
find
color. Someone in the world knows what color that originally was. You're like, I could make it piece of green, but
This guy, the second Doctor, is actually not only are most of his episodes missing, but there's so little photography of him.
Oh yeah, and then like this outfit, this is like from his first episode where he changed, his pants changed, and he's wearing a ring in one of the episodes. So like you can't, like a lot of the color photos of him are not even what he normally wears throughout the whole show. See those pants? Those are the pants that he wears throughout most of his time.
Yeah.
Because those are Hartnell's pants, I think. He's probably wearing those in the Regeneration episode or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you usually get, is black and white.
And usually the color references that guys tend to go with, end up being more like from like the team-ups later on.
Right.
Where it's
So
a
like the
completely
second
different
doctor,
outfit
people are always
anyway.
like, well, why isn't your shirt blue? His shirt wasn't blue. His shirt was blue in the 2 doctors and the 5 doctors, but originally it was white. I mean, maybe he was very, very light. And like this picture is an excellent example of how the color is wrong. Because you can tell that's all very green.
Yeah.
Then that should be color corrected. If you base your costume off of a picture that was colored that way, your colors would all be wrong.
You say about the shirt being white,
Yes.
but I'm not contradicting you. But there is a lot of stuff where, for TV, is what they would do, they would make things not white.
Right.
Like I saw,
Especially black and white.
I saw an original Colin Baker shirt, and I thought, oh, it's really faded. And I was told, no, it's not faded. The shirts aren't white; they're actually ivory.
Yeah.
So when it's in studio lighting, bright lighting, it doesn't burn out.
Oh.
And
In the
that's
same
another-
way that the console that Hartnell had was actually like a battleship grey. It was almost moist, slightly greeny coloured. That was so again it wouldn't bleach out. But then when it then turns up in John Pertwee's era, it's still this green colour. So when you see it for real in that, you see that it's green. So sometimes what you see on screen that it's a shirt is white,
Well, it has
the
everything to do
inside
with
of the
that
TARDIS is white. It's not. The real thing is actually something that will read so you see detail rather than actually being
Well, and that's just like these Magnolia suits that are dark, They sometimes tweak it. I mean, I remember reading about like Dick Van Dyke or something, like his suits were all red, you know, because when they filmed that in black and white, the red would read black better than the black would actually.
Oh, there was a whole science for black and white television.
Right.
Or black and white film for that matter, how colors would read. You know, the Lone Ranger's mask, when it was in black and white, was actually purple.
Right.
Because it read better. You know, black mask would just die out, you know. Superman's outfit, and you know, was wet chocolate.
Yeah.
It was like a chocolate with a very, very pale blue. You know, so black and white's just a whole other thing. Now this is Technicolor.
That's amazing. You mentioned Star Trek before, right?
Right.
It's like as soon as color TVs were being sold, it's like Star Trek. The reason everything is just this bombastic array of primary colors is just because that was the hip thing. It's like HDTV. Everything had to be color.
Yeah.
So you'll notice with our third Doctor, we get
He has a whole ton of
Oops, hang on a second. I'm sorry.
rainbow
Went
coats.
too far.
Not Colin Baker rainbow
A little
coats.
too fast, but no, I mean just is amazing.
A different color every day.
Exactly.
This was a doctor who had wardrobe.
Yeah.
We have a lot of variety of choice with three. We really do.
But only after his like second series, he's blank in Mexico for a really long time.
Yes.
Before you suddenly see this season where it all just goes mad. Every single story is wearing one. In fact, I think there's a couple of stories where he starts off wearing one velvet sweater jacket, and then halfway through episode 1 he changes to something different. And the blue lines in Rescue is only in one scene in Three Doctors. That's the only time it's ever
Wow.
used.
Blue shirts.
Wow.
Do we have anybody interested in doing any of those really old black and white doctors? No, they never did.
In black and white.
One other thing that I do notice, especially with, you know, folks like this guy, fourth Doctor. Oh, he's angry. He's a little tip too. You know, one thing, you know, if you're still struggling for looking for, you know, what combinations of things was the character wearing, you know, what color, what season, what era, I have to say, well, this is a great picture of the scarf, the actual scarf too, by the way.
Yeah, the best. The pieces are the best.
Recreation is actually based on this guy's recommendations who owns this scarf. So this is as close as you can get to the real color of this scarf, actually. If anybody wants to see it later.
Oh yeah, and it's a great website. This is from his website.
Yeah,
It has all these.
it's all the patterns.
He actually, if you want to weave this one of his scarves, he actually patterns a number of knits to wear.
I've used that
This is
twice now.
and this is scarf.com. This, yeah.
And this is like the 15-foot scarf. This wide.
But the action figures actually, they've done a really good job kind of getting together a lot of the combinations of costumes and putting them out there. And they're not the best reference, like if you're trying to be exact on minutiae, but they're really a great starting point. You can't always, okay, I see a screenshot, I can't really flip that around behind me and see the, you know, the scene lines.
Right.
And the action figures, they've really done a fantastic job with character options of doing their research and sculpting it in.
Now, I wouldn't use action figures for probably color reference,
Exactly.
but in terms of actually looking at the costume and being able to say, oh, that's how the vest is put together. Right. They're
Well,
very.
it's double-breasted. It's
Right.
you know.
Yeah, exactly.